in the Indian pharmaceutical industry, you get a monthly data which comes in, which is of course released by IPM, and they collect it from various distributors and then extrapolated to see essentially what is the sort of trend in the Indian pharma space. That comes in on a monthly basis, and we have recently got the release which has come in for the month of July. Now, when we really talk about the numbers that have come into July, it's a very muted set of numbers. Less than 1% sort of growth is what you have seen for the entire pharma pack on a YOY basis. When you look at it on a TTM basis, it's a growth of 5%, probably gives you a much larger and a longer term sort of a picture. But since the COVID crisis, so whether you look at it in March, April, May, June, and now July data which we've got, it's been very, very volatile. So some months it's grown and some months it's degrown. Some months there has been no particular trend essentially that comes in as well. Now when we talk about certain therapies, cardiac as a therapy has made a good comeback. That is something which has done well. Acute segment has not particularly done that well, so that's something which probably one is taking a note of. And some of the new launches, when you talk about the APM growth, new launches tend to contribute about 30% of the growth, but that's not been the case since the COVID, because launches have been mostly in and around what's happening with COVID therapy. So you had a Cipla launch which actually led the Cipla numbers. You had a Glenmark launch of Feripavar, and then it was followed by a lot more other players. So all of these tend to have an impact as far as the entire number is concerned. So Glenmark in sales value grew by about 20% odd. You had a Cipla which grew by 11%. A Torrent was among one of the growth players with 5%. IPCA did very well in the month of April when HCQS sale went up, probably even in the month of May, and now the growth has come down to about 11 to 12 odd percent. So these are it's getting very, very volatile. It's mainly led by what sort of therapies one is getting approved for COVID and the sort of drugs that they have delivered over there. The second important thing has been the MR sales. Medical representatives go out their sales. Most of the Q1 companies that we spoke to post that, the management said that 60 to 70% of the activity is back on the track. MR sales are back, so that is something which will have an impact on largely on the growth going ahead. So that's probably one trend to watch out for. And some of the key therapies have not been doing that well since the time of COVID, so probably they also would tend to pick up. That essentially is what analysts would be watching out, whether you talk about the August data or the September data. Then of course you get the quarterly numbers which come in, and then it's all about management commentary and what essentially they have done. Two more things that I would like to highlight is that top brands, which are the top 25 brands. Out of that, top 10 really grew pretty well. So again, it's the top brands that tend to grow. That is something which has been the trend for a while. That continues to be the case. And on top of that, minerals and vitamins as a category have been doing well. So basically people are taking more of vitamins and minerals so that they can be healthier. Their immune system is much better to fight this pandemic if they have to actually go ahead in terms of talking to somebody who's having COVID. So that as a space continues to do well. It is a space which has been doing well since April, and that's something which continues to see growth.